Photo News, South Canterbury's photographic newspaper, issue number 7, March 1984. Circulation 17,000 copies, registered as a newspaper published by Photographic Newspapers of Timaru. We're looking at the front page of issue number 7. The Minister of Education, Mr. Wellington, officially opened the South Canterbury Community College on Tuesday, with Mr. Wellington as Mr. P.L. Cosgrove, Chairman of the Community College Council. After the official opening, Mr. Wellington toured the college, inspecting its buildings and facilities. Above, Gerald Cody shows Mount Wellington some skills as he acquired in the metal work class. As the rugby season looms close, all rugby players will be striving to achieve what Brent Hannon is practicing with his brother Dale. That's the front page of Photo News, issue number 7, March 1984. Page 2 of Photo News, issue number 7. In the top left-hand corner. Not one of the most desirable stalls at the AMP show, and it did not draw huge crowds. However, the stall set up by the Timaru Hospital to test for diabetes proved worthwhile, as 3 of the 73 people tested were being advised to consult their doctor. Being tested for high blood sugar content is Mr. Alan Jones and Mrs. E. Gibbs, the district educator at the Timaru Hospital. Vincent Chandler found a Bell Jet Ranger helicopter an interesting place to shelter from the rain, while at the bottom right, Gerald Norman and Trevor and Janet Baird and Glenys Norman of Temuka went for the more conventional method. Carlina Condon, Julie and Milani Prouting felt the pipes at the show were much more interesting when played on. The page was sponsored by Newman's Music Store and Northtown Organ Centre. Page 3, Photo Show. Light rain affected the attendance of the Temuka and Geraldine AMP show on Saturday, with gate takings down from 3,345 last year to 2,400 this year. The association was established in 1874, with shows held at frequent intervals until 1919, when the show began to be held every 12 months. This year was the 74th consecutive annual show to be held. The horse and pony event were of special attraction. This year, with entries up from 1,057 to 1982 to a record 1,243. At the top left-hand corner, Mr. Fraser Mackenzie was so close to penning his sheep with his dog Craig when time ran out. Mr. George Innes demonstrates a different type of dog trials, not with sheep but with turkeys. Mr. Innes found them a little easier to pen than sheep, but during this performance another gate on top of the pen would have helped. Mr. Owen Smith spent most of the show milking Jersey cows. A successful mother and daughter combination with Lee and Rusty, who were placed fourth in the lead riding class with her mother. Mrs. Gay Scannell on Missed by Chamber, who were awarded the prize of Champion Park Hack. Mr. W. Sheriff with his Champion Bull. And bottom left, Wendy and Nick Denham enjoy themselves on farm equipment displayed at the show. Mr. W.J. Skinner of Geraldine keeps a close eye on the variety Wally drag saw, which goes back to 1914. The old saw was originally used for cutting up firewood in South Canterbury. This page was sponsored by, Photo News Advertising, Rosemary Photo News graphic artist. Hi, I'm Rosemary Miller and I'm your graphic artist at Photo News. It's my job to lay out the advertisements in Photo News so that they are attractive and interesting to our readers. We encourage our advertisers to use photographs so that they can complement our photographic news. Photo News is printed on a web off-site printing press which ensures the best possible reproduction available in newspaper printing. If you are considering placing an advertisement in Photo News, then give me a ring. I'll only be too pleased to help you design your advertisement. Rosemary there. Sharon from Photo News Receptionist. If there's a photograph in this or any other issue of Photo News that you'd like to buy, then give me a ring. Sharyon Bishop, Photo News Receptionist. Page 4 of Photo News, issue number 7, was sponsored by South Canterbury Finance. You see a photograph there of Tim Underdown, the manager, and Kevin Gloag, the credit manager. Alongside them, also sponsoring the page, is Roberts Pharmacy, with photographs of Brent Roberts, Pam Sullivan, Nikki McKinnon, and Jenel Wallace. Also sponsoring the page was Murray Parker Sports World, Reese Brothers Limited, and Ashley Electronics. Page 5 is more Photo News, People. The result of a dare. Cheryl's mum dared her to turn up at the Highfield supermarket wearing a red bikini. For their effort in winning the Radio Caroline promotion, Cheryl won a round Travis trip flying over the Southern Alps from Lake Tekapo. Handing over the voucher is Radio Caroline announcer Paul Rowe. Well, just as well, Freddie was not around when 9-year-old Josh McBride tried Freddie's bike out for size while it was on display at the Highfield Shopping Centre. Meanwhile, Michelle Valentine, Ruth Sutherland, Anne O'Neill and Ian Sullivan checked out the interior of Freddie's motor car. The best place not to be looking at a place, Wendy and Keith Hoare and Denise Pierce get with it at a fancy dress party. Mr. Peter Woods at the right of Dunedin powers his way out of a bunker during the South Island tournament at levels. Boy Scouts from Cecil Road Scout Group lend a hand as caddies at the Veterans Tournament. Handing him Mr. McCall a live iron is Brad Duncan. News, issue number 7, page 6. Sponsored by Hassel Street Butchery, Smith's Wholesale Groceries, Hawthorne Foodorama, and Owen's Wholesale Markets. Page 7, Photo News People. Overwhelmed, Mrs. Chris Gould of Timaru receives 18 gold sovereigns, the major prize in the downtown promotion, from the Mayor of Timaru, Mrs. H.G.L. McIver. About 8,000 hopeful people flocked to the corner of George and Stafford Street in anticipation of winning the sovereigns. The musical Oliver will soon be presented by the Waimate Drama Society and Cooperative with Dunedin's Kaikoura Valley School and staff meant most of the stage sets have now been assembled in Waimate. 3 teachers from the Kaikoura Valley School, David Cook, Bruce Cathro and George Davis, are shown hard at work. The winning team in the interfirm swimming relay at Waimate was Agus Longblow from team of David Fay, Gerald Scott, Chris Edith, Mark Robinson. Any resemblance to a local shearing team is right on. Freak. Today's guest freak is Rob Cope Williams, rural reporter for Radio Caroline Photo News. Photo News plans to bring you photo news freaks on a regular basis and hopes you enjoy seeing people in a never-before-imagined light. And he says, I was covering the Winchester show and some idiot person entered me in the horse class. The wire jump. Right, here we have Catherine Leslie, co-head prefect at Waimate High School. The 7th form pupil Catherine's interests include netball and science. Richard Harris, co-head prefect at the Waimate High School. Richard, who is in the 7th form, lists cricket and science among his interests. Chris Brown and fellow competitors on their way to the junior boys 100 metres breaststroke event in the inter-secondary school swimming sports at Centennial Pool this weekend. The page was sponsored by Golden Harvest. Photo there of Barbara, the natural beauties consultant for Blackmore's beauty products. In the middle page spread, we have more wedding photos. Dorgan Hackle. Mark and Erica celebrate their day of marriage at the Botanica Gardens with their close friends and family. Thank you, Mum, for everything you did for us. Photo by Tim Hawkins. Stevenson O'Connor. Jan, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Jack O'Connor, and Eric Stevenson were married in Chalmers Church, Timaru, supported by their workmates, friends and family. Jan and Eric enjoyed their wedding day immensely and extend their grateful thanks to everyone involved. Photo by Tim Hawkins. Blackham McGettigan. Kay and David were married at St. Thomas Church, Timaru. The bride, Kay, is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. J.D. McGettigan of Timaru. The groom, David, is the son of R.G. Blackham of Timaru and Mrs. L.M. Hopkins of Picton. This page was sponsored by Fraser's Jewellers, Mackenzie and Willis, Ashbury Carpets, Maxshaw Menswear, Photo News, Free Community Service, and Para Rubber Company. 10 of Photo News, issue number 7. Sponsors, Bob Kennedy Building, Enting Real Estate, W.H. Collins, and in the photo of the ad is Julie Fennick, Nicola Doyle, Kay Dello, Jeff Day, Ray Cox and Barry Gallagher. Other sponsors were Micro Wakefield and Graham Thompson Builder. Right, we're looking at page 11 of issue number 7. South Canterbury player Paul Morris makes a determined run during the non-interprovincial Sevens rugby tournament at Fraser Park. About 85 cyclists took to the National Heart Foundation sponsored bike day, which covered a 16-kilometre course. A shingle road caused problems for some. Mr. John Wright had his misfortune to get a puncture, and Alan Ramage had a novel way of breaking the monotony on a long stretch of road. A load of firewood to be unloaded as these 3 men are still smiling, chipping in to help a colleague who was unwell, are from left Reverend Craig Dixon, Reverend Mike Hawke and Reverend John Neal. Competitors taking part in the Mid-South Canterbury athletic meeting show determination as they contest their events at the Rangi Stadium. Mike Myron shows aggression while putting the shot. Gary Ramsey displays an unorthodox long jump. The youth councils of 9 RSA associations within Canterbury met in Timaru recently to discuss their work, which involves guiding children to see various towns and areas within New Zealand. Pictured left to right, Roger and Helen Gudsell of Twizel, who are tour leaders of the Youth Council, Mr. G.I. Anderson, District Commissioner, and Mr. Cuth Scott, Chairman of Canterbury RSA District Youth Council. The page was sponsored by R.B. Jenkins Painting Limited and Dove Print, 50 Church Street, Timaru. Photo news, Wheels and Motor Market. Newman's Tyre Service sponsored the page, along with Edwards and Handy Machinery Limited, Auto Parts, and Wright Cars Ashburton. Page 13, more people. South Canterbury Ranger Guides prepare for their recent lightweight camp held at the Waihi Gorge. They are from left, Isabel Whelan, Timaru, Christine Stephen from Timaru, Sarah Crane from Geraldine, and Carol Abraham from Waimate. Radio Caroline's manager John Carvey, who won both heats during the Timaru Herald Radio Caroline Challenge at the Temuka Stock Car Track. Radio Caroline won the contest, scoring 26 points to the Timaru Herald's 14. A week of intensive swimming instruction was undertaken recently at the Waimate Centennial School. Learning to float confidently on their backs are Charmaine Osborne, Amanda Ross, Cherie Wright, Sarah McCabe, Mark Kotz in the foreground. Getting into the stretch of things is jazzercise workout are Annette Batchelor, Margaret Kelly and Paddy Rowe, all of Waimate. Lorna Hyde on the left of C Down takes another look as she had just purchased from Sam Leslie of Cave at the South Canterbury Black and Coloured Sheep Sale held at Timaru Showgrounds. The 1984 Timaru Boys High School Swimming Championship champion Craig Hollows about to start at the 50-metre freestyle event at the school's recent swimming sports. Auctioneering good at the Government Stores Board. Auctioneer is Mr. Gerald Morton. Mr. Morton worked through the 475 lots in 4.5 hours. Over 1,000 people attended the auction, which was organised by the Ministry of Works and Development. The page was sponsored by Timaru Caravan Centre and Johnson's Rod Outbook Motors and Rod Cook Marine. Page 14 of Photo News, issue number 7, Names, Faces and Places. Mr. Doug Hodge, of the Timaru Reporter of the Press, who recently resigned from the Journalists' Union, is at the centre of a dispute with his press staff colleagues, who have been refusing to handle his copy. Mr. Hodge said his opposition to compulsory and militant unionism was the reason for his action. An ex-serviceman, Mr. Hodge, left New Zealand with the 1st Red Contingent, 2nd New Zealand Expeditionary Force in the Second World War. He served as a Lance Corporal in the Western Desert in 1940 and an infantry platoon commander in 1941 and early 1942 desert campaigns. He was captured at Ruasis Ridge on the night of 14th and 15th of July 1942. He escaped from modern prisoner of war camp in Italy in September 1943 and was recaptured about 8 months later and transported to Germany. Mr. Hodge is a member of the New South Wales branch of the Rats of Turbrack Association and a recipient of the 1941 Turbrack Siege Medal by virtue of the fact he served alongside the defenders of Turbrack at Eduba, where the 19th BN linked up with the Turbrack garrison. Consequently, Mr. Hodge was in the memorable breakout at Mignar Quorum and the Iron Nail action. He was commissioned on April 25, 1941, when at 20 years of age he was believed to be the youngest serving officer of the British Army serving overseas. Our freedom has been won at an enormous price, says Mr. Hodge. Other people who sponsored this page are Bishop Campbell and Co. Stock and Share Brokers, Totster Teens, B.C. Harris, Photography, Jill and Joy Hoare, Waimati Auctions, John Mills, Watchmaker, Mutual Travel, Records and Cassettes, Newman's at Newman's, Garage Doors, Waimati Appliances, Hames Motors, MJ Leonard, Perry Price. News, for your news is our news. Don't keep it a secret, tell Photo News. Gus Bishop and Ron Bishop there in the photograph. On page 15 we have Photo News Sport. Jim Little and Mike Small won the Southern 200 held at Levels at the weekend. During the 125-lap race, each car was required to make 2 pit stops, one for fuel and one for tyre changing. The top left, Rob Cope Williams and Keith Laney making a few minor adjustments before the race. Displaying close and competitive racing in the Truana XU1 driven by Robin Lang and Noel Beaumont, and the Mazda RX3 driven by Des Ward and John Diamond. An Escort driven by Mike Piper and Paul Adams uses 3 wheels on the corner. S. Greenfield loses control in his Capri during the race. The winning car driven by Jim Little and Mike Small. The page was sponsored by Strathallan Electrical Limited. Finally, the back page of issue number 7, Photo News, page 16. Cobb & Co. sponsored the page. Cobb & Co. Corner Clown. And Butterfield Furniture also sponsored the back page in bright red spot colour.